You built this town. Your quarters through the slots, your dollars on the felt, your loyalty for decades. But somewhere between then and now, Vegas stopped rewarding you and started squeezing you. The numbers just dropped and they're stunning. You're spending more than ever in Vegas, but you're gambling less. A bombshell report reveals how the city that promised you everything has slowly been taking you for everything. Let me explain what's really happening. Let me show you exactly what that report revealed. In April 2025, Las Vegas tourism officials sat in a room and heard something remarkable. Jeremy Aguero, from Applied Analysis, the firm that tracks every dollar flowing through southern Nevada, delivered news that should make every Vegas regular's blood boil. According to Aguero's report to the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, the average visitor spent $1,322 per trip to Las Vegas in 2024. That's a 5% increase from 2023. Here's the kicker. That figure is 53% higher than what visitors spent in 2019, just before everything changed. You might think, well, inflation, right? But here's where it gets ugly. Aguero explained exactly where that money went. Higher room rates, resort fees, parking charges, retail shopping, and food and beverage costs. Meanwhile, and this is critical, spending on gaming, sightseeing, and sports actually decreased. Read that again. You're spending 53% more per trip than 5 years ago, but you're gambling less. The house isn't just winning at the tables anymore. They're winning before you ever sit down. Steve Hill, CEO of the LVCVA, told reporters in August 2025 that the drop in visitation is at the lower end of the financial spectrum. Translation: the whales are still coming, but regular folks like you and me, we're being priced out. Hill acknowledged concerns in the middle third of the market. That's us, the loyalists who kept this town alive for decades. But it gets worse, because while you're being squeezed for every penny, fewer people are even showing up. According to the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, June 2025 saw 3.1 million visitors, a stunning 11.3% drop from June 2024's 3.49 million. That's nearly 400,000 people who decided Vegas wasn't worth it anymore. For the first half of 2025, visitation dropped 7.3% compared to 2024, with over 1.1 million fewer visitors walking the Strip. Harry Reid International Airport reported passenger counts down 6.3% in June alone. The message is clear. People are voting with their wallets, and they're voting no. Hotel occupancy tells the same story. In May 2025, Strip occupancy dropped to 85.3% from 88.5% the previous year. Weekend occupancy fell from 93.4% to 89.9%. Even with convention attendance up 11%, the leisure traveler, the backbone of Vegas, is disappearing. The Nevada Gaming Control Board reported that Strip gaming revenue fell 3.9% in May 2025. Compared to May 2024. This marked 4 consecutive months of decline. June was even worse, with downtown Las Vegas seeing an 11.3% revenue drop. And here's how they're doing it: by systematically destroying everything that made Vegas worth visiting. Let's start with the hidden taxes that most visitors don't even realize they're paying. Remember when your room rate was just your room rate? Those days are dead. MGM Resorts raised resort fees twice in 2024. Premium Strip properties now charge $45 to $52 per night in resort fees, on top of your room rate. That's before the 13.38% room tax. In September 2024, Casino.org reported that MGM began quietly adding a $15 per night ICE contact center fee for phone bookings. Add another $6 in taxes, and you're paying $21 extra just for calling instead of booking online. Caesars, MGM, Wynn, they all do it. The only way to escape resort fees? Reach elite tier status that maybe 5% of players ever achieve, or stay at one of the few remaining no-fee properties off the Strip. These aren't amenities anymore. Free Wi-Fi? That should be standard in 2025. Pool access? You're paying to stay at the resort, but they charge you anyway because they legally can. And until recently, they buried these fees in the fine print. Next comes the table games. If you played blackjack on the Strip in 2015, You could find $5 and $10 tables with decent 3-2 payouts during slow hours. Today, according to Vegas Advantage's 2025 survey, the minimum for a 3-2 blackjack game in central Las Vegas is typically $25 to $50, even during off-peak hours. During busy times, it jumps to $100. Want to play $5 blackjack on the Strip today? Good luck. Maybe Casino Royale or Circus will have a table, but it'll likely pay $6 to $5 on blackjack instead of the traditional 3-2. That single rule change increases the house edge by approximately 1.39%. You're losing money 4 times faster than you should be. The double-deck game at Bellagio, Aria, or MGM Grand, $100 minimum. Fontainebleau, $500. These used to be games where a $25 player could sit comfortably. Now they're reserved for high rollers. Even craps, the social game, the people's game, starts at $15 to $25 on the Strip. Roulette, same story. The message is clear. If you're not betting big, they don't want you. Then there's the slot machine squeeze. The Nevada Gaming Control Board's 2024 data revealed something disturbing. Slot machine hold percentages increased to 7.2% statewide, up from 7.16% in 2023. That might seem tiny, but when $146 billion flows through these machines annually, it adds up fast. The Las Vegas Strip held 8.23% from slots in 2024, worse than the state average. Downtown Las Vegas, a shocking 8.47%. Penny slots, which are the most popular machines, held almost 10% of all money wagered. Some downtown properties held 11% from penny slots. Contrast this with the loosest slots in Nevada, Reno, where no denomination held more than 6.16%. Vegas isn't even trying to compete anymore. Why would they? They've got you captive on the Strip, walking between properties that all have the same tight machines. A 2015 industry report from Applied Analysis warned that tightening slot holds actually hurts revenue because players lose faster and leave sooner. But casino operators didn't listen. They got greedy, and now they're paying the price with empty floors. Another part of the problem is the comp programs that once made players feel valued. MGM Rewards rolled out changes in 2024 and 2025, adding some partnerships and perks. But let's talk about what Caesars did. During the global health crisis, Caesars closed its Diamond Lounges, later rebranded as Laurel Lounges, across Vegas properties. These were spaces where mid to high-tier players could relax, grab free drinks and snacks, and feel appreciated. As of late 2025, most haven't reopened. The Paris location? It's now Vanderpump à Paris, a Lisa Vanderpump bar where you pay. The company took away a benefit you earned and replaced it with another way to extract money from you. Yes, MGM added resort fee waivers for gold tier members and above. But reaching gold requires 75,000 tier credits in a calendar year, roughly $37,500 in slot play, or $75,000 in table game buy-ins, depending on how it's calculated. Most recreational players will never see that level. The cruise benefits and Marriott Bonvoy partnerships, these are nice if you're already a high roller. But for the guy who used to get a free buffet after 4 hours of quarter slots, those days are gone. Now you might get a $10 free play coupon if you're lucky. Now here's where things get really strange. Casino revenues keep climbing even as fewer people visit. In August 2025, Nevada casinos won $1.36 billion from gamblers, up 4% from the previous year. The Las Vegas Strip saw a 5.6% gain. How is this possible? With an 11% drop in visitors? 2 reasons. First, they're targeting whales. Steve Hill admitted it in July 2025. We are not seeing any problem at the top of the market. The drop in visitation is at the lower end of the financial spectrum. Casino consultant Oliver Lovett was even more blunt. Many resorts today are looking at key metrics, such as being willing to operate with lower occupancy with the right people in the building. The right people. That means not you. Not the loyal, decades-long player who brought friends, celebrated anniversaries, and came back year after year. They want high-net-worth individuals who'll drop $50,000 in a weekend and never complain about a $500 steak. Second, they're squeezing more from fewer people. Higher table minimums, tighter slots, mandatory resort fees. surge pricing on food and drinks, $20 bottles of water poolside, $8 beers at the casino bar. Every single interaction is designed to extract maximum revenue from whoever's left. This isn't sustainable. Caesars Entertainment CEO Tom Reeg acknowledged in an earnings call that Las Vegas started leaking as a market in June 2025 and expected the third quarter to remain soft. Even the executives know they've pushed too far, and the players? They're not staying silent. In April 2025, a comment on X, formerly Twitter, went viral with over 15,000 likes. The user wrote, "The value proposition of Vegas has completely collapsed. Overpriced. Everything is worn down. Not fun. Younger people don't gamble. Not much else to do. There was a time when you could get great value and have a great time. Now you're just feeling ripped off." That comment appeared in an official report to the LVCVA. Think about that. The tourism authority had to acknowledge that their own customers are publicly declaring that Vegas no longer provides value. Reddit forums are filled with similar sentiment. Users in the R Las Vegas subreddit regularly post about declining value. One wrote, "I still go, but only twice a year instead of the 4 or 5 trips I would take annually. I try to limit my food costs, bring protein bars for breakfast, and eat at sandwich places for lunch and dinner. Got tired of paying $30 plus tip for cold eggs, bacon, and coffee." Another Reddit user claiming to work for a major strip operator wrote, "I work for one of those greedy corporations and they are ruining our city. VPs and executives get bonuses for cutting costs and staying under budget while raising prices to astronomical levels." Casino consultant Oliver Lovat told NPR in August 2025, "If you're looking for a bargain, because of the way that Las Vegas has changed, it's no longer a bargain destination." Even Jonathan Jossel, CEO of the Plaza Hotel Casino downtown, acknowledged the problem while trying to stay positive. Las Vegas maybe's forgotten some of the messaging, which is to say it's not just an event town, and people can still come here and have a great time at a great price. But the evidence says otherwise. When occupancy, visitation, and leisure spending all drop simultaneously while complaints flood social media, the verdict is in: Vegas priced out the people who built it. Because here's what we've lost. Do you remember when the Stardust had a $3.99 stakes special? When you could play dollar blackjack at the Frontier? When casino managers knew your name and slipped you a comp buffet just for showing up regularly? Remember when "what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas" meant spontaneous adventures, not calculating whether you can afford a bottle of water? When you could marry your sweetheart at 2 a.m. for $50 at a tacky chapel and laugh about it over free drinks while playing nickel slots? The Vegas we loved gave you a shot, a real shot. The slots were loose enough that you might actually walk away a winner. The table minimums were low enough that you could play all night on a modest bankroll. The buffets were legendary and affordable. The shows were spectacular, and you didn't need to mortgage your house to see them. That Vegas understood something fundamental. If you treat people well, they'll keep coming back. They'll bring their friends. They'll spend money because they're having fun, not because they're being nickel and dimed at every turn. The Rat Pack Vegas, the Mob Vegas even. Say what you will about those eras, but they understood hospitality. They understood that the house will always win in the long run. So why not make the experience enjoyable? Why not let people feel like they're getting something for their money? So how did we get here? How did Vegas transform from that to this? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Vegas stopped being run by casino men and started being run by Wall Street analysts. MGM Resorts, Caesars Entertainment, Wynn Resorts, they're publicly traded companies answerable to shareholders who demand quarterly growth. Every earnings call, executives have to explain how they'll increase revenue and margins. Every quarter, they need to show progress. So what do? They optimize. They squeeze. They raise resort fees by $3, then $5, then $8. They bump table minimums from 10 to 15, then 25, then 50. They tighten slot hold percentages by 0.04%. Small enough that most players won't notice, big enough to add millions to the bottom line. They fire dealers and replace them with automated tables. They close comp lounges and turn them into revenue-generating restaurants. They eliminate free parking. Remember when that was unthinkable? And charge $20 to $40 per day. MGM CEO Bill Hornbuckle told investors in February 2025 that the company aimed to capture $150 million in operational EBITDA opportunities in 2025. EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Corporates speak for, "We're going to squeeze more profit out of this operation." In the same call, MGM CFO Jonathan Halkyard mentioned they were down in full-time employees across our regions, Las Vegas and our corporate office, while deploying digital interfaces to handle customer service. Translation: fewer workers, lower costs, less personal service. This is what happens when accountants run casinos instead of gamblers. But corporate greed isn't the only factor at play. External forces have accelerated the decline. Canadian visitors, who represent the largest share of international tourism to Vegas, dropped 18% in 2024. Many Canadians stopped traveling to the U.S. in protest of policies and increased costs. WestJet, the biggest carrier, reduced Vegas flights by 15%. Economic concerns throughout 2025 drove consumer confidence down. A Deloitte survey found that Americans plan to travel in 2025, but with smaller budgets. When discretionary income shrinks, Vegas is one of the first things cut from the budget. High inflation in 2023 and 2024 and stubborn interest rates made everything more expensive, not just in Vegas, but everywhere. Credit card debt hit record levels. People chose to pay down debt instead of taking gambling trips. Meanwhile, competition grew. Tribal casinos expanded across the country, offering many of the same games and entertainment options without requiring a plane ticket. Sports betting legalized in dozens of states, so you don't need to fly to Vegas to place a bet anymore. Cruise lines offered all-inclusive packages that felt like better value than Vegas's nickel and diming. Regional markets like Atlantic City, despite its own struggles, at least offered proximity to major population centers. Vegas didn't adapt. They doubled down on high-end luxury instead of remembering that volume matters. They chased whales and forgot about the millions of regular folks who made Vegas what it was. Here's what it all comes down to. Nobody wants to spend money in Las Vegas anymore because Vegas stopped giving value for that money. It's that simple and that tragic. You're paying 53% more per trip than you did 5 years ago. And most of that money goes to fees, parking, and overpriced food, not to gaming. The average visitor in 2024 spent $1,322 per trip, but gambling spending decreased. That's not a casino town anymore. That's a theme park with slot machines. The corporations running Vegas forgot the fundamental rule. The house always wins if you keep people playing, but if you price them out, squeeze them dry, and make them feel like suckers, they stop coming. And that's exactly what's happening. Jeremy Aguero's bombshell report should have been a wake-up call. Instead, casino operators kept raising fees, tightening slots, and pushing out the loyalists. Now they're dealing with double-digit visitor declines and wondering what went wrong. What went wrong is simple. They got greedy. They betrayed the people who built this town, and now those people are staying home. Now I want to turn this over to you. If you're watching this, chances are you have your own Vegas story. Maybe you've been going since the 1980s or 1990s and watched the city transform. Maybe you've noticed the crowds thinning and the costs rising. Maybe you've already decided it's not worth it anymore. I want to hear from you. What's your Vegas story? When did you first notice the value disappearing? Are you still going, or have you given up? What would it take to bring you back? Share your stories in the comments below. Let's raise awareness together. The more we talk about this, the more pressure we put on these corporations to remember who built this town, loyal players like you and me. And one more thing before you go. If this video gave you clarity on what's happening in Vegas, if it validated what you've been feeling for years, do me a favor, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss future videos on Vegas and the gambling industry. We're going to keep digging, keep exposing the truth, and keep advocating for the players who made this city great. Vegas doesn't have to be this way. Change is possible if enough people demand it. But first, we have to understand what's really happening. Now you know. The bombshell has dropped. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.